Love means an intensive feeling of deep affection. Many of us know the definition of love, but don't know that that love can be broken down into different types. My goal for you today is to learn the 3 different types of love. I really didn't know how to define love and how to break it down into key points until I looked more into it and researched about it. But there are many elements that are described love, but I'm going to focus only on 3 today. Today I'll discuss about intimacy, passion, and commitment. My first point is intimacy, also known as filial love. Intimacy is a friendship love. Love refers to an affectionate, warm, and tender, platonic love. It makes you desire friendship with somebody. So basically, how you feel towards a person. Psychologist Robert Steinberg had a theory of love. He believed intimacy is feeling closeness or sense of having a close emotion ties to another person. So not only can you have this type of intimacy, friendship with in a relationship such as your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but you can also have this with a friend and with your family members, is having things in common and having some sort of connection, maybe like work, school, or just being their family members or just a friend. The second point is passion. Passion is based upon physical attraction and fulfillment, romantic love and desire. Steinberg states, passion refers to the emotional and sexual arousal a person feels towards the other person. So this not only refers to sex, but also to having some type of physical contact. So maybe like holding hands, hugging, simply touching someone's hand can be the beginning of a passionate love. My third point is commitment. Commitment is a state or quality of being dedicated to one person only. It could be short-term by accepting to be in a relationship with a person, or it can be a long-term commitment, which can be accepting to spend your rest of your life with that person. This type of love will accept the person as who they are, meaning you will accept their imperfections. And Steinberg's notes, feeling emotionally close to each other and understanding one another, which motivates them to commit. I take this as connecting the first element that I stated, which was intimacy. I feel like if you combine intimacy with commitment, that's how you reach commitment, because in order to have commitment with somebody, you have to understand them and know them. So I feel like there's a process to getting to commitment. It's a love that takes time, because you have to be willing to commit to one person only. Overall, there are lots of elements of love. The ones that I just stated today were just a few elements of love. I will finish off with 1 Corinthians 13:4-8. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud, it protects, it always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Thank you.
Oh, sugar. I forgot. Alan, you're supposed to do the oral evaluation on this, and Vicky was supposed to do the written evaluation. Alan, how about a few comments?
You had good examples about each of the components that you had, and I thought your eye contact was good with the whole class, not just side of it. You had a very clear voice. I just thought you lift up and down a lot. But other than that, I thought everything was pretty good, and you knew what you were talking about. Kind of confusing.
All right, well, the definition was fine as an attention device. I thought that it was very clear what your purpose statement was, and you had a good setup of what the supporting structure was going to be, along with a visual to explain that and help outline for us. So I thought that that was pretty solid. I do think you need to give us a little bit more justification. Why is knowing these different definitions of love important? How is it going to help us function? Are we going to be able to change ourselves, improve in some way, understand people better as a consequence? I think you need to give us a little bit more of a reason to listen here. On the material itself, it's structured topically, so that's easy to follow. There was some supporting material that got quoted. Sometimes it sounded like it was all coming from the same person. So if it is all from the same person, you ought to tell us a little bit more about that individual and why they are so authoritative on this particular subject. The explanations are okay. I think you could use a few more examples and things that would be that would make it come alive a little bit more, instead of just sounding like you're giving us dictionary definitions of these concepts or something right out of a textbook. I think we could use some illustrations that would personalize it. You don't have to use first-hand experiences, but a description of a romantic relationship or an intimate relationship, even the platonic friendship kind of intimacy that you're talking about, I think would be helpful. As it is, I think it stays at a somewhat abstract level, and it needs to be a bit more concrete. The visual materials, they're well prepared. They're not adding a lot of information to the speech. Mostly what they do is make transitions and remind us what the point is that you're talking about at any given point. The verbal transitions sound awkward. It's almost the equivalent of next. So I think you need to do a little bit of summary, a little bit of anticipation, forecasting about what's coming up, and find a graceful way to get from point to point, as opposed to just the second thing I'm going to talk about, the third thing I'm going to talk about. So it's organized, but it needs to sound a little bit more fluid as you were presenting the language of the presentation. The presentation part itself, since we just did the presentation speech, it seems a little bit backwards, but even though you're not reading, which is interesting because you aren't very script dependent, I appreciate that. I would still get that script out of your hand. I know you need the notes, but those notes need to be smaller so that they're not waving around in front of us. But even though you're not reading, it sounds like you're reading. The cadence is a little bit awkward, and it doesn't flow as smoothly as it should. So I think you needed a little bit more practice, and don't forget to talk to the audience, not just at the audience. All right, thank you very much. It appears